It's really beautiful.
It's amazing.
You're live.
They had a close to
Everybody.
and they had a church. There's the only three public places they had.
I found things to do.
Oh, okay.
Hello there, everybody. Welcome to the 15th collection. My name is Ariel Basin. Says hold for applause here. I missed that. Sorry about that. I'm really excited to see so many people dressed up so nice and to have you all here tonight. And it is so cool that we're here now at our 15th collection. It is particularly exciting to me because we've been in this room now since our March collection, which was our 12th. And getting into the second year now, it just feels like kind of natural to just show up on the first Wednesday and collect, as it were. So welcome all, and I think we're going to have a really nice evening tonight. I'm going to get things started off right away here. I've been working for a long time on a novel called Jesus Johnson. And Jesus Johnson is a queer road story about twin cousins who realize that their fathers, who are brothers, are out at Charleston, South Carolina, and they are raised in San Diego by their mothers, who are sisters. So that's a long way to tell you that's how twin cousins happens. And they happen to be born on the same day after they are also conceived on the same day 9 months earlier. And it's a coming of age story. And when they set off, they're 19 years old. It takes them about a year and a half to cross the country. They get stuck in Tulsa for a while, but that's not what I'm going to read you tonight. Tonight I want to read you what happens when they take a commuter bus from Las Vegas out to Boulder City in Nevada. Jesus Johnson, upright on the edge of his aisle seat, a light sweat glowing on his perfect skin, a nervous smile twitching on his lips, foot tapping, played his mandolin as the bus crept out from the Golden Nugget. He played a familiar riff in a major key, and the rattly twang filled the length of the bus. A white woman across the aisle, her brown hair cropped and her horn-rimmed glasses radiating a quiet eccentricity, did all she could to ignore him. She cleared her throat, massaged her temples, leaned closer into her book, slumped lower in her seat. Jesus played louder to demand her attention, and when she finally put a finger on her page and looked up, he flashed his teeth and finger-picked with vigor until, despite her resistance, her eyes went wide with appreciation. "How do you move your fingers so fast?" she asked. "I don't. They move themselves to keep up with the notes I need to play. If I thought about it, they wouldn't move at all." He demonstrated by thinking about it and made a show of not playing and let the mandolin fall to his lap. "What about you? Do you play anything?" "I used to play the piano some, but my left hand didn't play as well as my right." "So you gave up?" "Not exactly. I got busy." "With what?" "I had to pay my bills, so I got a job at the casino." "What do you do?" he asked. "I'm a blackjack dealer." She looked more like a librarian. "Did you work last night?" "I worked the early shift so I could have my evenings free. It's an old habit of mine." The city went by as I half listened. How could working in the day be considered a habit? I asked it over and over, and it ran around my head. How is working in the day a habit? How is it a habit to work during the day? How is working during the day a habit? "You're not from around here?" she asked. "We're from California. We're going to walk across the Grand Canyon, a long way," Jesus said. "That should be nice." She looked in her bag for something. Have you been there? He asked. California? The Grand Canyon. We don't have much time for vacations, but a couple years ago I went with my girlfriend. She looked at me for the first time. What did she mean by girlfriend? How is working during the day a habit? I asked. It beats working at night, she said. North Vegas was flat and gray, and single-story buildings, empty lots, and strip malls. We passed a bakery, a motel, and a parking lot so huge I couldn't see what building it belonged to. Probably a Walmart or some shit. Without all the glitz and noise and thinly veiled prostitution and noise of Fremont and the Strip, my body relaxed more than it had since the Mojave, and the previous 24 hours began to dissipate out of my nerves until all the stimulus that remained were the pressing riddle of how working during the day constituted a habit and a faint trace of Alice's pussy lingering on my taste buds despite the bacon and eggs from that morning. My reflection in the window smiled from the sweet memory of her soft body in the darkness of our sex sport. Do you like living in Vegas? Jesus asked. It's all I've known. I grew up here, but moved out to Boulder City where it's more affordable. The commute is pretty long, but sometimes I meet interesting people. Like now? Sure. I could sing you something. No, thank you, she said. We don't want to disturb the others. I laughed at this, and Jesus tapped my ribs to hush me. Tell us more about the Grand Canyon, he said. It was a while ago, but I remember it was big, worth going down just to see how big and deep it is. I knew what Jesus was thinking. Big and deep were his specialty. He said, it's an inverted mountain range, from what I understand. Once you climb down it, you have to basically climb a mountain to get out. That seems about right, she returned to her book. After a long and wonderful silence, we were in Henderson. Apartments, business complexes, and parking lots. So many parking lots. But then the landscape changed. We were no longer inundated with the gray sprawl of the Vegas suburbs. Instead, godlike rock formations reached for the heavens, and the setting sun lit them like candles, hot and glowing in rows, dispersed unevenly like an altar. Would we make it to the Atlantic? Would finding our dads be worth all the trouble? How could working during the day be considered a habit? Jesus Johnson hoarded maps like they were escape routes and plotted his getaway like he was a prisoner. On that bus out of Vegas, we had all he needed. He had all he needed in his backpack. Arizona, New Mexico, Oklahoma, popular tourist attractions in Nashville, and a special map of Navajo Nation. He even had a map on the back of a placemat of all the psychics in Taos. He had a topographic map of Grand Canyon, and the one we were looking at on that bus to Boulder City was a map of Lake Mead National Recreation Area. In the lower left corner was the edge of Vegas. On the right side was the opening of Grand Canyon, and smack in the middle, just south of the lake itself, Mount Wilson. We're gonna climb that fucker, he said. Jesus fluffed the map and crinkled it to get the attention of our poor librarian-looking blackjack dealer, and he leaned across the aisle. Is this where your house is, he asked. A bit to the north, she said. Her tight lips and slit eyes made it clear there was no room at the inn. Jesus put the map away and amused us all with another riff, similar to his first, but slower, as if he were serenading our companion and trying to get her to soften. But nothing worked, and I was pretty sure by the end of the song that she was a lesbian, and by girlfriend, she meant girlfriend. She wouldn't be needing our company for anything. She didn't go for dick, and it didn't seem she cared for bluegrass much either. Thank you so much. I really adore the salon format, which is why I wanted to start this event. It gives the readers a kind of a special chance to kind of see how things land. Like I, for instance, am very proud of that little section, and it was really nice to hear it and to know that it's being heard. I just wanted to say that because that's really what the salon format is all about. But now I want to get up to our first invited reader. Her name is Natsuri Pudavan. Born in Bangkok, Thailand, and a Seattle resident for over 30 years, Nat is a poet and arts professional whose self-published collection, 365 Days of Grief, explores healing through words. She holds a BA in art history from University of Washington and an MA in museum studies from University of Oklahoma. For the past decade, she has worked in Seattle's nonprofit arts sector, mostly right here at Hugo House. Please welcome Natsuri Pudavan.
A little shorter than Ariel. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for coming tonight. I really appreciate you all. So I'm just going to start by reading a couple of my poems. In 2020, I self-published a collection of poems. Every single chapter of this book is a different stage of grief because in 2017, the man I loved was murdered. And so I actually turned to writing, which has always been the love of my life, in order to kind of process all of my emotions and my grief. So it's been almost a decade since then. I'm actually working on my second collection of poems right now called 365 Days of Healing. So that is currently in the process. I'm going to start by reading the first chapter, or one of the poems from the first chapter, and that is gonna start you off with the section Denial. I look for you in all the traces of my memory. Each and every word merely echoes, only emptiness to be found. I am desperate. I am longing. I still hear your voice in all that I am. You're not gone. You're not. That was Denial. And then now we're going over to Anger, which is the second stage of grief. I hope the guilt burns and tears at your flesh more persistently than bloodthirsty hounds. I hope that whisper of consciousness you possess will split your skull, causing more damage than a hunter's axe. I hope it burns far brighter than anything has ever burned for you, and I hope that once it finally dies, there'll be nothing left of you. And to contrast these poems, you probably can't see these, but I have very cute newt illustrations. And that was very intentional because it's a nice little contrast to kind of how difficult the poems can be and the difficult the words can be to read. So my best friend actually illustrated them. All of the newts are actually the same newt. His name is Newton the Newt. All right. Now we're going to the next chapter, and this is going to be from the bargaining stage. This next one is called An Ode to Eurydice. Come back to me, whispered the solitary desire of my heart. I would sacrifice this world and all of its silver beauty for you. I would traverse the depths of Hades, around the grotesque, towards the darkened realms, past the lake of forgetting, through the flames of torment. Here I would plead, play a song so beautifully it would cause the stones to stir and unleash the sorrows within my being, until even the immovable would be moved. A deal would be struck for me to proceed ahead of you, but not to gaze upon your face, lest all would be lost. As a whisper of doubt crossed my mind, a deal too good to be true, I had proceed knowing this fear. I would not dare look back or risk even the briefest of moments. I could not suffer the chance of losing you again. I would hold on to the hope that you would be following with silent footsteps until we made our way to the surface. And it is here that within the sun, you would be beside me, as the warmth of your hand intertwined within mine, as we breathed a sigh of sweet relief. But herein lies the tragic desire of my heart, for I'll always feel as if I gazed back only to lose you once more. Because the realm of Hades is somewhere that no mortal can find. And so the story will end, as all stories often do, and this world will eternally remain a darker place without you by my side. Thank you. And then we have two more poems. The next poem is from the section of depression. I did forget to mention that every single chapter has a different illustration of Newton as well. So this one is depression. He is in the middle of a storm on a very rickety boat. All right, so this one is actually going to be the hardest for me to read and get through because I try to be as incredibly emotionally vulnerable as I can with my grief, and it really helped me to process. So please bear with me. This poem is called Blissful Ignorance. I wanted so badly to remain forever tucked away in blissful, beautiful ignorance and denial. But I was not given that luxury. I would have basked in the belief that you had escaped from this entire hell. Perhaps be lounging on the sun-soaked beach where the water laps the edges, sending you to a peaceful slumber with the whiskey on the rocks in hand and the sun warming your skin. I did not believe you to be gone, so I screamed. I sobbed, as my heart tore and I desperately called every hospital in the vicinity. My hopes were high as they told me you had not been admitted, so I breathed a sigh of momentary relief. Then with the sickening realization that there was one place that needed to be called, somewhere one should never have to call to find a loved one. So hesitantly, I dialed the morgue and I held my breath. I waited. A few moments felt like eternity. I held my breath, the speed of my heart, a slow, aching thump, thump, silence. Painfully slow silence, until the man's voice spoke again, a confirmation, an apology. At that moment, my heart had finally broken completely and utterly. My mind refused to register anything beyond those words. My illusion shattered. My beautiful fantasy of you on that sun-soaked beach could no longer be a reality, as the rest of my sanity had tumbled into darker and darker places. And it gets a little brighter from here. This is Acceptance, and I'm just going to share this quick little illustration of Newton. He is actually looking up into the stars in the cosmos. Kind of see that. Acceptance was actually probably the hardest chapter for me to write because, that kind of comes last. All right, this poem is called The Finale. It's also the last poem in my entire book. Even though I cannot find peace within your permanent absence from this world, I can find solace within the fact that life can go on. I can find a reprieve in the knowledge that I did not end my life that night, not in the following months to come with a knife poised over my heart. Despite my heartbreak and anguish, I did not drown myself in languor and reveries. The blades did not kiss my skin and turn the wall scarlet. I survived the worst pain of my life, and I've lived to tell you this tale. I transformed suffering into a collection of healing and far too many words. However, the moral of this story is this: life does and it will go on, even if you have to discover how to live without a part of your heart. I know you are hurting from the many wounds upon your soul, full of festering and gnarling edges with the same knife held over your own heart. But if I had given up that night, I would have never found love anew or found my reason to keep living despite the endless ache. It's quite strange how life works out, isn't it? How things such as happiness and bliss seem to find you, just when you had believed that they would never find you again. Just when you thought they had abandoned and forsaken you, they give you something else worth staying for. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much, Dan. Not only for being a little shorter than me, because I'm pretty short, but also thank you so much for exposing that, for being willing to share grief is I think, extremely brave. I think grief is something that most people experience, if not all of us, and it often feels very lonely. And so it's really nice to kind of, grieve communally, which I think that I appreciate very much. So thank you for those poems. I do want to bring up our next reader, however. This reader's name is Liz Kellebrew. Liz Kellebrew writes at the intersection of imagination and embodiment, where the natural world, isolation, and interior life blur into something stranger and more luminous. Her work resists easy binaries, instead exploring connection, disconnection, and the fragile ecosystems of human experience. A lifelong resident of the Pacific Northwest, she has published 3 books, as well as various essays, stories, and poems. You can find her work at lizkellebrew.com, and also that link can be found here via the QR code. Please welcome Liz Kellebrew.
Thank you for the warm welcome. It's always good to be here and hear everybody's work. I feel like creative writing is such a communal space, and I'm just so grateful that we have this place. So tonight I'm going to read some excerpts from a short story. It's called The Protocols of Visible Light. It's forthcoming in the Disobedient Futures anthology from Cambridge Writers Workshop. And it's about finding yourself when you're alone and you've survived the apocalypse. The last man has what the first did not, the gift of fire. I have taught myself to use the flint, but in my pocket, I am saving a box of matches. Tonight, I am on the mountaintop seeking the stars. I am not disappointed. The Milky Way is there, furious and fervent, and the kings and queens of old clash swords across the sky. We remade the stars in our image, and so we never got far enough to find the other lives beyond them. Our closest prospect was a star named Wolf, with a number in its name, 1,000 something, only 14 light years away. I have never seen a wolf, but I heard one once, high in the desert under these same stars. Blinded by a summer bonfire, our shadows cast upon the pines. I stack fallen branches on dry moss, strike the match upon granite. The phosphorus flares, white hot orange, the color of nothing else in the world, the color of stars. Perhaps, 14 years from now, someone from the Wolf Star will see my paltry flames. But I will no longer be here. I will be an illumination. And now I am lost in viridian dreams. Spruce and fir, the brush pines, the jagged fang leaves of the wild rose, pink suns exploding. Above me cross the emerald redwood branches, the silver-green madrona leaves, the hot lime foliage of maple trees bent by the weight of their own fruit, their strange propeller seeds clustered like grapes. Below me, the golden green moss, feathery horsetails and ghostly lichens, the abundant gush of ferns. You will love this place. I know it. So I have brought you here with me, or rather, I have brought a scrap of paper printed with your image, curling at the edges, awash in silver halides and light. I place your image in the crook of a cedar and sit down next to you, the tree trunk warm against my back. Together, we are love in the silence. I do not know I am asleep until the wind wakes me, blowing hot and noxious with smoke. I get up to look for you, but you are gone, stolen by the woodland sprites. I search among the horsetails, run a stick through poison ivy, but it is no use. You are gone, gone from me, and now my eyes swell with the smoke, and I can hardly breathe. I cannot run, and so I crawl, scrabbling blindly over soft red clay and furry moss, nurse logs and molehills, the fiery limbs cast off by great sequoia trees. I have torn my own limbs off, crippled myself with memories, failed to keep watch. And the fire found me sleeping and stole you from me. I am at the edge of the land, where where it drops like a guillotine into the sea. I do not know what tide it is. If it is high, I might be saved. But if the tide is low, my body will break upon the shore, and my guts will feed what birds remain. I see the flames among the trees. I cannot stop to think. As I fall, it seems to me that your smoke will rise forever. The wind blows, and I wake. The sky is purple. It must be dawn. A cold rain falls, sizzling on the embers of the forest, soaking me to my skin. I must move to warm my body, and so I climb back up the salty cliffs from whence I leapt 2 days ago. It hurts everywhere. The charcoaled stumps, the smoking loam, the vast brown field of my impermanence. Your photograph, these ancient trees, all released into the ether as one. Sheltered by a clump of damp red bark, a single mushroom grows. Speckled with ash, its cap shines gold as a brass button. Its stem is slender as a dandelion, and only half as tall. It wears the jewels of dewdrops. Just as we fall, we also fly. The particles of our destruction forming the nuclei of clouds. Bearing water, we return again to Earth, and with our bodies, we nourish new life. You may have heard about the rain on other planets. Sulfuric acid falls on Venus, and Jupiter's ammonia clouds rain diamonds bred by lightning. Saturn's winds cast graphite shards 1,000 miles an hour, and on Neptune, you can hear the sound barrier breaking. It hurts everywhere. I wake again on the beach. Cool water drips down my brow to my cheek, and I hear a sound like a gushing roar. Colder water flows under my back. I try to sit up, but I cannot fight the pull of the ground beneath me, so I open my eyes instead. This is its own struggle. I see an endless field of gray, and from that garden of clouds, the rain harvest falls, splashing into my eyes. I turn my head to the side. Next to me throbs the translucent bell of a jellyfish. Like myself, it is going nowhere. It is a moon jelly. 4 white U-shapes crown its head like separate leaves of a lucky clover. There is nothing I can do to ease its pain, so I tell it what I know. When I am young, but not too young, there are many jellyfish. We count them when we ride the ferry. Hundreds of them, moon jellies, just like you. We look for you because we too remember living in the sea. The jellyfish is losing its strength. I cannot watch as its bell deflates, bubbling down flat on the sand. Already its tentacles are invisible, and 7 days from now, there will be nothing left of the jelly's flesh. I have seen the future, and in that future we shall not sleep, but we shall all be changed. I was asleep, but now I am awake, and in my waking, I become ancient, returning to the source of life. I walk away from our great mother, the sea, and I become my own mother. There was death in the man's future, but in his place, a woman rises. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that, Liz. As I think you know what a big fan of I am of your work, and I think I realized why for pretty fully just now. I love how in touch with nature your work is, and I always kind of felt like I was coming a little short not knowing how to name all the trees. You know, like I call trees a lot, and it's like, you know, I really love when hearing you being able to say, oh, that's a maple and it has this type of seed, and you know, the propellers, of course I've seen those, but didn't know. So it's so cool. And the jellyfish at the end there. Anyways, I could go on and on, but that was so great. Thank you for that, Liz. I did point out, just as I was bringing her up, this QR code over here that will take you to the collection's webpage. There are also these cards around. I have some in my pocket. I'm probably going to put these over here, but there's a bunch up front at the bar and also at the front desk. And yeah, the reason I bring that up is because we think of collections as a public club, and by that I mean we welcome everyone. There's a limited amount of slots, but an unlimited amount of months. So we just keep on bringing in people to do more and more of this, and it's just been so wonderful having people return like Liz and Nat, and we also call ourselves a live magazine, and the reason we do that is because we splice in these little video performances, which I'm going to bring out one for you right now. We do that so that people from out of town that want to be involved can still send in videos from afar. Eliel Lucero is a native New York poet and DJ, and their work appears in Before Passing, Great Weather for Media, and Best Short Fiction in 2016, among other journals and compilations. Eliel, aka El Maderas, has DJed for 30 years with a focus on global dance music on vinyl. They serve as developmental manager at Flushing Town Hall, and they write a free music blog called Sunday Morning Records, and you can find that on Substack. And from the Bowery Poetry Club, please welcome Eliel Lucero.
After Charles Mingus's Haitian fight song. It begins with the fingers stroking their way through the strings the way blind discover new countries. The left hand making creases on its fingers, holding the strings tight on the neck. The right hand fondling the strings below the chest. Each stroke, finger to pluck, a new reason to resist. The player's eyes are closed, but the bass is wide alert. Now the overture is done. The strings begin to wrap around the fingers. The neck becomes a wooden handle with two rusty nails. The chest begins in a narrow, expanding into the navel, breaking ground for the authority of hips. Steel now, cold, hungry steel with an edge sharp enough to cut shackles in one slice. Its music is still low, pounding and heavy. The bassman is upset. He pounds harder, now he's angry. Pound, pound, his face is red. Pound, pound, veins hard like sugarcane. Pound, pound, his feet are bare, swollen. He feels no ground. Pound, pound, he runs with fury, lifting up the bass. Slice. The first cut head rolls on a grass field. Dead eyes search for some foreign sky. Now there are trumpets screaming with him. There's a drum, a piano, and even tambourines, all sharp and furious. The bassman cuts another neck. The trumpet blows a head off shoulder, spine attached, dragging a green heart, leaving torso standing in terror. Now the keys are stopping craters. The drummer is crushing heads. With each crush, another machete is raised. For every plantation, new machetes are forged. Tested on skulls, holding receipts, as in paper can guarantee ownership over flesh and fury. The band is in full massacre. When asking for freedom does not work, the blade negotiates. From the north, machetes made bloody of ID. Bare feet march south. New blades point to some heaven and catch the sun before staining the ground crimson. Fight, pound, slice, blood. Fight, pound, slice, blood. Faster and faster as the horn fills the island with rage and hope. The song repeats. Goes on for 13 years. The bassman is pensive, low, never quiet, as if retelling the story to a new nation. He plucks and digs, washes blood and digs louder. He digs. This is where he begins to play again. The same pound he played in the beginning. A little happier now, in celebration now. The same notes and chords as a reminder. Horns, keys, and drums are louder with no fury, but louder in jubilee and louder. Retelling the story with the bassman, making sure no one forgets. And although they've stopped I can never get over the thump, slice, pound, and blood.
Yes.
Never forget how revolution began with a blade, or how Charles Mingus tells the story of an upright bass that became a machete.
Thank you, Eliel. So having Eliel and other people sending videos is what inspired us to have a live stream. We have a live stream going. Hi, anybody who's tuned in, maybe Eliel, maybe Max, who we'll see later, maybe others that have been invited to that aren't able to be with us in person. And it's just so cool to be able to expand our reach out to others like that. So yes, thank you, Eliel. I hope you're watching, and we appreciate that poem very much. We're going to close out our first set now, and this is going to be Mike Cohen. Mike Cohen's poems, short stories, and excerpts have appeared in over 15 publications and anthologies. His 2017 novel, Rivertown Heroes, is a legal thriller described by Kirkus as fast-paced and nuanced. Mike's short story collection, The Three of Us, including his award-winning short story, The Cantor's Window, was published by Adelaide Books in 2018. His short story, Dropouts, was published in Bewildering Stories magazine last September. Mike practiced law for over 5 decades before retiring in 2019. Mike's latest, the novella Co-op, set in 1970s Seattle, features couples in nostalgic thrall to the hippie counterculture, while balancing the demands of parenting and ambitious professional careers. You can visit and read Mike's work at mlcohenauthor.com, also linked at the collections webpage. Please welcome Mike Cohen.
Thank you, Ariel.
I want to thank Ariel for creating this wonderful physical environment for us to have a metaphysical experience. After all, each one of us either writes on paper, it's a thing, or we type. But when it comes out of the microphone, it's somewhere between breathing and air. It seems to be alive a bit. So I must say that I am a reluctant poet. I write poetry because I'm too lazy to work on my novel. And most of the work that I do as a poet is thus fun, and the thought of reading it to you just thrills me. So thank you very much for doing this. I also want to give a shout out to a person who's not here, and that's Arlene Heyman, who inspired the first poem that I'm going to read. She has written a collection of short stories. It's called Scary Old Sex. And Arlene, I think in her story, suggests that there are a number of tricks that the elderly know that haven't been spelled out in the Kama Sutra. The first poem is called We Planted the Moon. We planted the moon and our age together in the early morning, bundled up in our common effort to shut out the frost. Looking at your countenance, I called the clock a liar, and you laughed, turning the timepiece face down on the bed table. Then patting a new position in the mound of quilts, you declared us perfect for the task ahead, and we burrowed deep into pillowed nooks and crannies, throwing aside our garments in the effort, ageless in our curiosity, the lunar shadow forgotten for a time. It was hard work, but carried out in the spirit of childhood, like snowball fights, boys against the girls, and necking in the back seat of a jalopy, windows steaming, hair damp, and legs akimbo. And when we completed our blanket-bound toil, drained and tired, the sun peeked through the window and grinned, as if surprised to see your naked breasts. You slipped your mouth over my ear and whispered, "The grandchildren are awake downstairs. How old will they think we are?" Next poem is Nighttime. The life I really don't desire, with a nod to H. Melville. I've been traveling from chair to bed with weariness as my impatient companion, and an unaccountable compulsion to collapse like a slow hiss of air from a punctured balloon. This is totally at odds with the hardy figure that I swear looks back at me from my inner mirror. Yet young people seem to address me as sir and hold doors open for me to pass through or offer their seat on the bus, kindness and pity imprinted on their faces. Some other facts to consider. In the dark hours when I cannot avoid awakening, I perch on the edge of my bed, twitching a bit uneasily at the smaller version of myself that I have become. And I consider various options, the impulse to search for new iPhone messages, or the wiser instinct to return my head to the pillow, risking that I will only lie hollow-eyed, wasting the night. But with a sigh, I relent to an omnipresent and universal urge and traipse down the darkened hall where the bathroom waits, doing there what I always knew I must. Believe me, I am absolutely certain that I can figure all of this out, but I prefer not to. The next poem is a memory. It is called Her Practice Partner, and it is for Judy Price, 1943 to 2023. When he arrived, she was already in the dim-lit basement, helping spread the pizza slices on a side table, her blouse tucked into black capri pants, snug-looking to a 13-year-old boy, himself posing in an insolent jeans, collar up, concerned about bad breath, and unwrapped mint in his pocket, knowing better than to taste the pizza. So why so dark in the room? He could barely see her brown eyes. Did she know he'd be here? Was he her favorite? Or just a good enough dancer to be added at the last moment, living in the neighborhood and all? Someone set the turntable's needle on a 45 platter that popped and pizzled, then sent out a drowsy, dropsy, doo-woppy message, and pairs began bumping about in the dimmed light. She slid, maybe swayed over, and uncertainly, he held out his hand, palm to ceiling, and she took it, showing that he was right to offer. It was their first dance. He worried about stepping on her suede flats, she wore no socks, or tripping on himself and stumbling. But she had put her arm behind his neck, and suddenly he was flying, arms softly pumping to master the rhythm, gliding in silent conspiracy with the music like the dancing teacher promised. As the drowsy doo-wops trailed off, he wondered, should he let go of her hand? But a new song on the turntable urged, stay just a little bit longer, and she took up where they had been, her arm around his neck where it belonged, and that left him just a good enough dancer, feeling that he had been her first choice all along. My last poem is Parenting. My child's recovery from a fall. I can barely stand to regard your skin knee, a grinning lesion with dirt-encrusted lips and your wail of shaken confidence. Your reddened eyes judge my parental inadequacy, silently accuse me of betrayal, the failure to warn, my lack of skill to prevent this collision, and of course, my inability to instantly heal. A fatal question accompanies the heartbeat in my chest. Can I be trusted anymore? I can only press my leg against your heaving side and wrap your small, unsettled fingers in mine, praying that your discomfort be dissolved by my unguent glazed assurances. You'll be all right, sweetheart. Silly words of comfort and false certainty that you rightfully ignore. Relieved, I detect no other welts, no additional inadvertent swellings arising from this clash between you and the ground, instigated by merciless gravity, with whom I intend to have words later. But soon the return of your vigor is granted as you gain measured breathing, followed by your re-engagement with curiosity, you dashing away in a child's agile, antic, helter-skelter, rebutting all permanence of the last affright. With your departure, a rueful normalcy returns, for you have again discarded me in your relentless pursuit of independence, leaving behind in your wake a lingering hodgepodge of charm, intention, and promise that I can't help but ingest into memory. Your well-being, the fulfillment left etched on my beaming dome. Thanks. I appreciate everybody's attention. Thank you.
Mike is taller than me. Thank you, Mike. That was delightful. It's really nice, these sort of glimpses into your life. Your poetry is very honest and bare, and I really appreciate that about it. And in that second poem, I was waiting for a trusty cannibal or a white whale, and I was delighted that it was Bartleby instead of Ishmael. So thank you very much for that. And yeah, so thank you so much, Mike, for closing out our first set with such beautiful poems. We are going to take a little 10-minute break here. I do hope that you all return in about 10 minutes. We have Neva Petrova coming up, and Dario Savincek, Max Chandler out of Manhattan, and Daniel Comito will be closing out the second set right before I say goodbye with a poem. So please enjoy your 10 minutes, get to know somebody, grab a drink, whatever you want to do. We'll see you soon.
You want to go? Okay. I'm gonna get Jody glasses.
Oh, yeah?
And this is.
Oh,
She was there. It'll make that whole
I do, yeah. Yes, absolutely. Yeah, let me, I can grab my copy and my desk. I'll be right, yeah. I'll be right back. Let me go grab it.
I'll send it to you. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Yes, love it. Hey, like, which one are
This one is. I don't know, people
go back? Okay, yeah, I'm still working on my healing, so. I still like
But it's also what I said when I was the exercise.
You also are very honest and straightforward. I'm writing novels. Sometimes you need to break yeah.
What's the genre?
Right now,
Hi, thank you guys. This is so nice to meet you. I got a video. You did? Oh, thank you. That would be wonderful.
yeah, I love that you're
It's pretty long. Yeah, actually, let me turn the ear.
Oh, is that okay?
Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate you guys.
That was very interesting.
It says bring devices together. So I don't know how. Oh, it's doing it. Oh, I'm. Oh yeah. Really? Wow. Like a crappy video. Like the best quality. Thank you. I think it's downloading. Oh no.
I mean, I also do really like flat.
It's going slowly but surely. So 1/4 of the way there. I don't think it needs to like still.
Oh yeah.
Oh, we have to keep holding it.
But I can't let go of that.
Okay.
Okay, that's you meet your friend.
Or the punctuation qualify it, or two TWO or the number. I'm like, I just gotta get those big brush strokes.
You
in.
get
You can
it.
Go back in the detail later.
Yeah, I know.
It's great that you really. Have you taken any?
I know you're a little.
Done any?
Yeah, what about you? Haven't here. So I retired a year ago
From the where were you
from
working?
NOAA.
Oh.
I love to see someone. I scuba dive, so I was like, maybe I'll work at NOAA.
Yeah. And so
Do you miss it?
Since then, yeah, it was hard. I wasn't planning on retiring. So
Yeah, it's like
they were,
75%.
I let myself get kicked out. I took early retirement because
It's a big, isn't it?
It's getting better apparently, but our program was about half the size, and there's still people just the morale is not great. But I've had an amazing year, and I've always painted, so I'm doing a lot of painting. But I started writing because I wanted to spend some intentional time thinking about my career. Because it all just came to an end in like 2 weeks, and it was so negative.
Abrupt.
It was abrupt. It was really negative, and I wanted to remember the good things about what I spent the last 35 years doing. So I thought I should write some memoir, and I took a wonderful class at Seattle Central. Anne Hadreen is a beautiful teacher, so I had a chance to take a workshop from her class. I'd never written anything but science. And she got us going, and I've been writing strong ever since. I'm having a blast writing.
You've inspired me.
It feels really, really,
And
really good.
it's your, no, it's your, I don't, what's the word I'm looking for? I don't know. It's like, it's a path, like you're flowing and
Yeah, I'm going back in time and I'm remembering things, and I don't know if you've ever done that kind of memoir writing, but you remember things by writing them.
Absolutely.
Like I don't remember anything from grad school, now it's all coming back.
Yes, and it's kind of thrilling in a way. And then to put it in context of where we are now.
Yeah. And it's just it feels a lot of the same creative thrill that painting does. I'm really surprised because it's so not colorful.
But it's all the same. It's all creative.
It feels like
I just started taking dance lessons.
Oh,
And so that has ignited, along with music, like I listen to KXP, the music and dance is fueled.
all the media
Everything.
feed off each other. I feel like my painting and my writing, and I use metaphors of painting when writing, or even just like I was talking about brushstrokes. Like I started this one chapter, I'm like, I don't know where I'm going. It's okay, just sketch in the big shapes.
Absolutely. I'm glad you found that.
Yeah, me too.
So lifeline. I know.
About it.
Keep creating.
Yeah. It's important. And even just like you can keep a little bit going so that when you find yourself with some time, you can
Or worse
expand
than
out
just
into
the time is like when you don't. That ennui is the worst. That flat line. I can't. I do better with the highs and lows, but that ennui, like but
not having the energy.
or what do I want to do? And
Yeah.
then, so with your painting, I like to do watercolor. Like I'll just do a color study,
Of course.
and just try to match colors. And
Yeah,
then
yeah. It's good for your eye.
Yeah, it gets the cobwebs cleared.
Yeah.
Do you write by typing?
Yeah, I started writing in a notebook when I was taking the class, and that helped get me going because I felt like when I sat at the computer, I'd go like
It's a different.
perfection science mode,
Yeah.
and now I just go straight to the computer. But I think I needed that initial
Yes,
notebook
I kind of do
phase.
both. I
Why
kept
not?
journals to write because
Yeah.
it is completely different. But for speed, and then I don't know about you, but I had to take typing in high school.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So I can fly.
Yeah.
On a keyboard.
Yeah, it's
Right,
gonna be
right.
And I want to get that. And I can't
Like
read
my hand gets
I
tired.
can't read my own hand.
I know, right?
I can't read my own hand for a hair.
Right. Love that 10-minute intermission. I'm sure that was exactly 10. So sometimes I set a timer. That time I didn't, but the important thing is we're having a nice time. Yeah, so I was really happy with the way that first set went. Really happy with the energy here tonight and seeing so many familiar faces and meeting some new people as well. That's what Collections is all about, is collecting people in a way and creating this community that just keeps on growing and getting richer with each month. And it's just I don't use the word blessing much because I am pretty agnostic, but this one feels like a blessing, so I'll use it. Great, let's get started with our second set. I'm going to bring up Neva Petrova now. Neva Petrova, meaning the woman of the rock, the woman that does not give up to flow, and the woman who held, the water that moves and the rock that does not. Neva was born in Ukraine and raised between two totalizing systems, Pentecostalism and the post-Soviet regime, before immigrating to the United States in 1999 at the age of 16. She built her American life largely alone, earning a double major in art and film from the University of Colorado in Denver and an MBA from Colorado State University, while raising her son and working toward financial independence. She's now a wealth manager based in Seattle, where she also writes and designs. The place set for her is her debut novel and is the first volume of The Women of the Petrenko, a 4-book series. Please welcome Neva Petrova.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much, Ariel, for this opportunity. This is like actually my, this first time like sharing this publicly with this kind of longer set. So thank you so much again. So yes, I'm writing a book about a woman learning very late and at great cost that her body and her voice and her future belongs to her. It took her 43 years to fully understand enough, to understand in full, sorry. I'm a little nervous. Okay. Whew. It took her 43 years to understand this fully enough to write it down. The writing is the understanding, and that woman is me. I grew up inside two systems that shared one instruction: be quiet, be obedient, be small, and you will be kept safe. I was quiet and obedient and small, and I was not kept safe. So I started asking what the quiet had cost me. This book is the answer to that question. I wrote it in the voice of Virginia Woolf because Woolf understood that the interior life of a woman is not a footnote to the external events of her life. It is the whole thing. What happens inside the body and the consciousness is the story. The excommunication, the immigration, the divorce, the poverty, these are not the story. They are the weather. The story happens inside. It also is a book about sunflowers. After Chernobyl, sunflowers were planted in contaminated soil because their roots absorb radiation. They take the poison into the body so that the earth around them can begin to heal. This is not a metaphor I invented. This is what sunflowers actually do. I find this fact the most honest description of what this book is trying to do, and what I have been trying to do without always knowing it for most of my life. My characters survive, but surviving is not the same as living, and the distance between those two things is where this novel lives. Before I begin reading my chapter, Oktyabrята, I want to just mention a couple of words so you guys know the context and what they mean, and also one prominent figure in the Russian or Slavic community. So Vladimir Ilyich Lenin was a Russian revolutionary, politician, and a political theorist. The word zal is basically an extra large room or sitting room. In my home, in my family home, ours could fit up to 100 people. Shapki is basically a fur hat. Oktyabrята was a Soviet youth organization for children ages 7 to 9, acting as a first step on the ladder to the Communist Party. It prepared children to join the Young Pioneers, and then later comes the mole. Значок is a Slavic word for badge. Oktyabrята. Between kindergarten and 3rd grade, I lived divided, though I did not yet know the word for it. At home, all glory rose upward and vanished into God. At school, the same glory was gathered and given carefully to one man, Vladimir Ilyich Lenin, whose face watched us from walls, books, banners, desks. At home, God required everything. At school, Lenin received it. The Soviet Union stitched Lenin into the ordinary. The classroom felt unfinished without his portrait. His name echoed through songs, poems, films. It stretched along streets and parks, filled meetings and congresses. Even his childhood was offered to us, stories of him playing among children, so that we might recognize ourselves in him or replace ourselves with him. He was always ready. We were meant to be ready too. Every September 1st, speeches folded back to him. Then we marched, 1st grade through 12th, to the sound of the anthem. I did not sing. My family bowed to no authority but God, and I was told to tune out the words and never to learn them. When my silence was noticed, teachers' scolding was inevitable before the class, as if silence itself were a treason. Our house held another order, church songs only, scripture memorized. Sometimes it was transformed. People arrived quietly, 2 or 3 at a time, to disguise the illegal assembly. The vestibule filled with coats, wool and fur, breath caught in fabric. Beyond it lay the zal, long and wide, red carpets running its length, measured precisely, delivered as if holiness required accuracy. Before services, my sisters and I cleaned the zal. During them, benches stood in rows, knees pressed to the floor with prayers. Great Uncle Kirill's voice rose and fell. Women wailed for God's mercy. Prayers multiplied. Often, these services were too long for any child's patience, and my sisters and I escaped to the vestibule, fashionably parading boots, furs, and shapki, and shoes way too big for our feet to fill them, while the adults listened, believed, and prayed. Here I learned that nothing I did was mine. All action belonged to God. Desire did not matter. Suffering was proof. Emotions were unnecessary. Jesus had already carried them. Anger, grief, longing were to be suppressed, confessed, erased, and everything had been decided. Between heaven and history, I lived confused and quietly furious. When October approached, the division sharpened. The Oktyabrята ceremony drew near. The Pioneer would pin the red star, Lenin's face shining at its center, into the chests of 3rd graders. To accept it was a step forward to belong. To accept it was betrayal. Without it came other losses, deliberately lowered grades, closed doors, no choir, no recognition, erasure. Yet the forbidden things glimmered more brightly when withheld. I imagined being ordinary, perhaps liked. Never wear the znaczok, my parents said. My brothers had been beaten for refusing. My mother told me she had endured the same, gladly, for God's glory. I had no money to buy it, no allowance like Agnieszka. With her new clothes, her friends, her A+ star, I envied her, and so I took from her. I had stolen before, a belt torn from Shuba, glee flashing into shame, but this felt heavier. Still, the weight of belonging outweighed the guilt. I snatched the znaczok from her desk when she wasn't looking. On the day of the ceremony, my class's clothes were neat and clean. I was short and placed front and center. Tradition required the pionniera to pin the star themselves, a baptism without water. My hands were cold and wet. Heaven, hell, belonging, betrayal, God, desire. The two worlds I had held apart, like Moses holding back the water, had collided, and the impact was unbearable. The pionniera approached. I stepped back, clutching the star so tightly into my palm. White marks bloomed where its 5 points pressed into my skin. Before the moment passed, I pinned it onto my chest myself and stepped forward again. The anthem swelled. We walked. Then I tore it away. Guilt poured over me, thick, suffocating, the certainty that I had betrayed God, my family, community, and worse, that I had betrayed myself for wanting to belong. The room tilted, sound thickened. I felt split open, knowing only this, that wanting had become a sin, and that I would carry the weight of that wanting long after the star was gone. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Neva. So wonderful, so fantastic. It made me think about, some of you know, I teach second grade. And when we were learning how to teach, we talked about how all writing is either a mirror or a window. It can be both at the same time, but of course, when you read something that's a mirror, you're seeing yourself in it. When you're reading something that's a window, you're learning about something else that you don't know about. And I felt like that was a beautiful window for me, and I really appreciated learning about something that I previously didn't really know about. So thank you so much for that, and thank you for your beautiful words. We are going to bring up another writer now. This is Dario Savenček. Dario Savenček is an immigrant poet from the Balkans and a research scientist at the University of Washington's Institute for Learning and Brain Sciences. By day, he studies how children construct identity, and by night, or by whatever hour the poem arrives, he writes about war, trauma, displacement, and the slow, stubborn work of rebuilding a self in a new language. His debut full-length collection, PTSD Martini, was released by Carbonation Press in 2025, followed by his second collection, Mirror Made of Words, in 2026. He started writing poetry as a teenager during the Bosnian War. He has not stopped. Please welcome Dario Savenček.
Thank you, Ariel, for that introduction and for this opportunity. I'll just do like a few quick announcements. So I have two books. The PTSD Martini is kind of my trauma book, kind of like similar to what Nat was saying. And then my healing book is Mirror Made of Words. I'll read from both of them tonight. I also host a similar kind of curated open mic series called Speak Out Seattle. You can find us on Instagram at speakoutseattle_. And we recently have also been given some funding from 4Cultures, so we can actually finally, after 4 years, pay our performers. So if you're interested to connecting, Speak Out Seattle_, or you can find me at Dario_poetry. Okay, I'll start with PTSD Martini. I'm gonna read 2 poems from that, and then we'll switch to Mirror Made of Words. And I should have started a timer, sorry. Okay, here we go. So I'll do the opening poem to PTSD Martini called 500 Words, DEI Statement. The root of the English word slave comes from Eastern European ethnic group Slavs, who were enslaved in such large numbers during the Middle Ages that their name became synonymous with servitude throughout the Western languages. Words are the stuff of murder. I was born into one of the South Slavic tribes. The history of my people is that of oppression, bloodshed, displacement. My appearance is that of a white man, but my lived experience is that of a refugee, an immigrant. Wherever I go, they call me an alien. One day, I was walking home from lunch at my grandma's house. I heard gunshots. They were close. I saw the bullets landing around me. They were very close. I froze. A friend of my parents ran over, grabbed me, and carried me to safety. I was 12 years old, and I had just learned a new word, sniper. Words are the stuff of killing. For the next 7 months, we were bombed every single day. Mortars, tanks, airplanes. When a grenade is launched, at first there's a popping sound. Then you can hear it flying and accelerating before it hits. You can also smell it as it burns its way through the sweltering air. We'd spend warm summer nights sitting in a shelter, counting those pops. One time we got to 1,000 and we just stopped counting. Sound of something being killed inside you. 7 months of sheer boredom and terror, the days melding into one utterly boring and incredibly long summer afternoon, summer of '92. My puberty lasted just a few months, during which I witnessed things no teenager ever should, like screams of enemy civilians, our former neighbors, or our own soldiers returning from front lines with rows of human ears on their belts like souvenirs. I grew up fast. By the age 13, I was already bitter and angry like a middle-aged man trapped in a toxic marriage. Generational trauma and undiagnosed PTSD are a powerful cocktail. The hangover can last for decades. My first week in America, a police officer told me to get the fuck back where I came from. Words, my master, they cut like a knife, Johnny used to sing. My first year of college, a cop held me at gunpoint, questioning me while I kept my arms in the air for 10 minutes straight. His gun pointed at me the entire time as I was trying to explain that the guy he was ticketing for parking under a no parking here sign had just arrived from Togo and did not speak any English. My appearance is that of a white man, but my words are not. My accent betrays me. The howls of my ancestors give away my mongrel heritage. The advantage of my skin color is just skin deep. My white privilege lasts only as long as I keep my mouth shut. So now I speak less, but I write more. Words are my grenades, which I do not throw. Okay, so that's the opening one. So that's kind of what the book is about. There's stuff about war, there's political stuff, there's stuff about kind of broken love towards the end. So I'll read one more from this book because I don't want to be the downer. This one is called 10 Things I Learned About the War at the Age of 10. 1, there is nothing glorious or noble about it. In fact, it's ugly. People are ugly and they do ugly things. Sometimes at night, you can hear people having ugly things done to them. You wish for thicker pillows. 2, fear of a trapped animal grabs you the first time a grenade hits within 30 feet of you. That fear lasts for a month or 2, then it goes away. You get used to it. 3, it is boring as fuck. Most of the time you just sit around. You learn how to play every card game known to man in your city. You eventually get sick of each and every one. At the age 10, you get tired of playing games, which bodes well for your love life as an adult. 4, our fathers go away to the front lines and some of them never come back. A friend of yours goes outside to bring coffee for soldiers holding night watch and he never comes back. You hear about it on the radio the next morning as the DJ interrupts the local release of Don't Cry by Guns N' Roses. 5, you learn what hunger is. Hunger hurts. 6, war is noisy. Loud noises all day long, like a construction site from hell. So loud at times you think the entire world is crumbling down on you, which in a way it is. 7, war is like camping, but in a basement with no windows while trying to sleep on a concrete floor on an old, scratchy military blanket. 8, there are no weekends, there are no holidays, but there are days when the humanitarian help arrives. 9, at some point, it all goes away, or you go away, which is kind of the same thing. 10, it never goes away. Okay, so that's, if you're interested, I have copies of PTSD Mentality, talk to me afterwards. I'll do, for my remaining time, I'll do a few shorter poems from the follow-up collection called Mirror, Made of Words. This first one, the one that opens the book, is called I Walk. And I wrote that when I was 17. I didn't write it in English, I translated it later, but that's kind of what the book is trying to capture, like some of the like more youthful, hopeful spirit. I walk. I walk, how and where, hardly or with flair, I don't mind. A muse sends me a star from the sky. Does it shine with glare? Is the shine so rare? I don't really care. A valley of tears? I walk by. Thrown into the fire, burnt by its hatred, fused and melted, I'm getting stronger. My road is still shiny and becoming longer. I don't ask, I don't talk, I just walk. Okay, the next one, I have 3 more left, maybe 2. The next one is called An Afternoon Conversation. And there's a lot of like nature-themed poems in this book, so that's one example. Pine trees in the wind, in the summer afternoon, they tremble with laughter. Playfully, they're dancing and waving at me with the hands of resin. The sky is a fitted, fresh canvas of blue. The blossoming treetops and clouds of white, soft like cotton pillows, and the smell of meadow flowers, ripe and sweet. They all whisper gently as if in one voice, do not worry, breathe, all of this is yours. And I'll do one final one, and this one is called, if I can find it. Go with the flow. The waters are rougher and waves are bigger. The currents are stronger, everything's different. And yet the lesson is always the same, to make you tougher. Not like a stone, but like a piece of rubber. You came, you saw, you jumped headlong into the water. It made you shiver, it shook you awake. It's all a game, a matter of taste, sometimes mild and sometimes sapid. You've learned how to swim in an alpine lake. Can you survive these wild rapids? Can you freestyle this wide river? Of course you can. Just take a deeper breath, bow your head and stretch out your arms. Follow your heart, and when it gets dark, follow the moon and follow the stars. Thank you. You can find me on Instagram at Dario_poet.
Thank you, Dario. That was powerful. I think I'll remember that line about white privilege going only as long as you keep your mouth shut. I know that's not your line, but that really hit me. I noticed in the first set we were kind of in the western part of the United States, and now we're maybe a little bit more in the eastern part of Europe, and I think that's really cool. I like to try to follow these themes that go throughout. Wow. Sometimes after some poetry like that, you just got to take a deep breath. So thank you so much for that, Dario. I am going to bring up my old friend from Manhattan next. He'll be on the screen because he is currently in Manhattan. His name is Maxfield Chandler. He was born on November 17th in 1965 in Prince Edward Island, Canada. He lived in Montreal, New York City, Seattle, and now resides in New York City. He's worked in painting, writing, in fiction, poetry, and the screen. He's worked in photography, music, video, stage design, hypermedia, game design, and performance art. You may see a little bit of all of that in these upcoming video poems. Please welcome to the screen, Maxfield Chandler.
The Saucy Girls. Elizabeth and my Manhattan. Half-witted archaeologist. Lynn's brother and his unit. Cocaine nose job. Give up a name like Victor. Don't give her anything that will fuck her up. Egyptian cotton and the converging iron. Yellow sunglasses and 2 silver cameras. Stuffed elephants at the ruins. You're Stephanie Frauto. He knew it was a beer. He knew it was a beer. Black sunshine lies like a story in season, along only for the ride, an error incorrectly looked natural. The fruit feeds on fruit and far dawn Helenas, feasting on several sunborn dangers. Rough cover crowds look younger, better, walking, ripened black to feed your derivative altar. Poems she gave, saved, later delayed, and fed to the dawn's bronze hunger, and I glistened with my gathering, unraveling tears. For her, selected, counted, and made a poem a better tree to kill, just as if simplicity were fed to the dawn. It was fed dissonance, feasts of poems, rain sent from monastery trees, graced bracelets, sweetly gold, just as if simplicity were fed to the dawn, just as if simplicity were fed to the dawn.
Thank you, Max. I hope you are watching on our live stream. You can always count on Max to bring something a little bit odd. I love that man. We are going to bring up another old friend of mine now for our final live reading of the night. This is going to be Daniel Comito. Daniel Comito was born and raised in Seattle, where he lives today, a happy native of the verdant Pacific Northwest. He has a voracious appetite for reading and a passion for the classics of antiquity. His writing is informed by a lifelong fascination with magic, philosophy, mythology, and the hidden history of ideas, drawing inspiration from classical literature, Eastern wisdom tradition, and the rich currents of Western esotericism. When he's not writing, Daniel can be found mountain biking, rock climbing, practicing Taoist arts, reading tarot, or speaking Italian. He's worked for many years as a cardiac RN and is fortunate to be married to an excellent partner in crime. I can vouch for that last one. Please welcome Daniel Comito.
Okay, so I'm reading from today from a work in process, and this is the third chapter. The work is called Amanda's Room, and it's about young teenage love, paranormal love. I'll just get going here. So, the morning following my aunt's visit, the sun came through the window brightly, dispelling the dreams of the night before. Sweating in the sheets like an 8-year-old terrified of the boogeyman. I swung my legs out of bed and sat there for a moment. The view out the window looked down on a gnarled old rock wall and an apple orchard behind. A blue jay landed on the sill and sat there for a moment, its feathers iridescent and glowing. "Forrest, are you up?" My grandmother's voice called from downstairs. "Yeah," I called back. "I'm cutting up some cantaloupe." It was a favorite of my grandmother's for breakfast. Cantaloupe with a little salt and pepper. I liked it too. "I'll be right down." My feet met the wood floor with a creak. I stretched my hands over my head, bent over, and touched my toes. The muscles of my back protested, sore from all the wood chopping the day before. Probably should do some yoga today. After a few more groaning stretches and a solid promise to dedicate an hour after after a few more groaning stretches and a solid promise to dedicate an hour after breakfast to yoga, I padded out into the hall. The rec room and long staircase leading to the room at the front end of the house was where I was aimed, but my feet almost turned of their own accord as a whisper pulled at the back of my mind, a subtle confection of fear and curiosity. "Just go take a look at the room. Your aunt's always full of it. Take a look at it and then put it out of your mind." With each step I took down the hall, the floorboards creaked, almost a warning. My heart began to race, and what had seemed like a good, bold idea began to slip like a fastly receding tide. The door to the room stood open, yawning wide with the unknown. In my mind, I turned around and fled back to the stairs, but my feet carried me on. My hands met with the sill of the door, and my body came to rest within the frame. My right foot strayed past the doorway, trespassing into the room. For a brief moment, the sun shining through the easterly facing window seemed to strobe black and white, and then the room became very still. Dust motes floating golden in the air. I breathed a sigh of relief and was about to turn around when she was suddenly before me. I gasped, my head rushing with sensation, my ears ringing. She was tall, 2 or 3 inches taller than me. Her light brown hair stood out around her shoulders as if charged by static electricity. Her brown eyes almost seemed to see past me, and her face was so very still. My breath caught my chest, fear and shock coursing through me. I stumbled, and not in the right direction. It was as if some energy pulled me into the room. I staggered. and suddenly a supporting and warm hand caught my arm. "I've been waiting for you all day." A bright musical voice brought me out of fear and into stunned mystification. The girl's hair was flat now, not static. Her face that had seemed so still was animated and smiling. She pulled on my hand. "Come on." Her long cream and yellow colored dress rustling as she maneuvered me to a seat on her bed. "Amanda." The word came out of my mouth unsure, tentative. I'd never spoken to a ghost, let alone one so beautiful. "That's my name." She cocked her head with a look that seemed to say, "You're a funny one." I'd been about to ask what she was doing here, but as I looked around the room, fuck, where the hell am I? This isn't the same room. This isn't the same as this isn't the same room as the one in my grandmother's house. It was similar. The window was the same. The shape of the room was the same, but the furniture was completely different. The room in my grandmother's house was plain, a twin bed, a dresser, and a nightstand. This room was a girl's room. The bed was covered with a purple and pink coverlid and 2 matching pillows. On the dresser top, there were 3 little woven Indian baskets that contained beaded and metal jewelry. There was a silver-handled mirror and a wood hairbrush. 4 unfamiliar paintings sat on the wall. They all seemed to depict a similar wooded scene, well executed and showing a level of mastery that my mother, an artist, would have been impressed by. However, what really caught my eye was the fine geometric border that had been painted in gold and silver around the edge of each canvas. Forrest? Yeah? My head whipped around to regard the ghost, the beautiful girl. My heart gave a little skip to hear my name on her lips. "Do you like my paintings?" "Your paintings, yeah, they're beautiful." I was completely unsure where I was or if she was a ghost, but there was something completely disarming about her. The tension that had filled me at first sight was receding. She talked and dressed like any of the cooler girls I went to high school with. It was the 90s after all, and the 70s were in. "You think so?" She smiled shyly at me. In the back of my mind, I couldn't believe I was having this conversation. I got up. The shag carpet on the floor was spongy beneath my feet. In the shock of that first encounter, I hadn't noticed it. "I love the border." I gestured to the nearest painting. "The border, really?" "Yeah, it's magical. I don't know. It reminds me of..." It's crazy to be speaking so friendly-like to a ghost, but man, is she beautiful. "That Led Zeppelin song. Do you know Led Zeppelin?" Her eyebrows went up and her mouth cracked into a generous smile. "I love Led Zeppelin." "You know the song Over the Hill and Far Away?" I smiled back, my eyes meeting with hers, brown, flecked with gold and green. My heart skipped another beat. This time, not with fear, but some other feeling, a deep heartache, like I'd come home and didn't ever want to be parted from this person again. "Don't be a fool, she's probably a ghost." And, "Yeah?" She gave my arm a little shake. "Well, the border makes me feel like the intro to that song." "Where is this?" I gestured to the woods. "It's the woods to the land of Crete, where my mother's from." She smiled again, her teeth white and looking so very solid, not ghost-like at all. I was momentarily seized with the desire to ask if she was a ghost. The need to know what was going on pressed upon me with the weight of mountains, and yet a distant voice seemed to cry against this impulse. It seemed to say, to speak of such things will break the spell. If you want to know magic, if you want to know love, if you want to know life, real life, stay silent. Crete, like the island? Would you like to see the forest? There was a sparkle in her eyes. The green flecks seemed to swell against the brown. The corners of her mouth turned up with mischief. She held out her hand. What could I do, Gen X boy that I was? How could I refuse an invitation to mischief? I took her hand, and this time of my own accord, and as before, her hand was warm. How could she be a ghost with a hand so warm? The room didn't so much as shift around us, it dissolved like solid into gas. The walls, the furniture, the window, the ceiling evaporated in a cloud. The only thing that remained constant was her hand upon mine and her pale oval face shining like a beacon through that mystifying transformation. Had I not been so enamored by the girl that liked Led Zeppelin, I would have been terrified. But I was 17, and what was a little magic compared to her lithe limb and radiant smile? The world recoalesced around us, blades of grass tickling my feet, the sun upon my face, and a welcome wood stood before us. Whoa, that's the same wood. I gestured to the obvious and turned about. Holy, my grandmother's house sat behind us, and to my relief, so did the sound. But the woods were completely foreign. Come on, Amanda pulled on my hand again, taking me into the woods. I didn't resist. I didn't want to resist. She was far too compelling. Her dress splitted around her ankles, the right one jingling with bells. She looked back at me with that same sparkling look, and as we ducked under the first branches of the tall fir trees. Birds warbled. A dragonfly flitted close to my cheek. The bass hum of its wings set my eardrums vibrating with the iridescent color of its being. The whole wood vibrated with sound, with the sound of life. Isn't this lovely? Amanda chortled, skipping ahead, pulling me barefooted, thankfully down a spongy needle-laden path. Where does this go? I laughed, caught up in her exuberance. Over the hill and far away. She gave me that look again. Will you come with me? Are you kidding? I laughed. She stopped in her tracks, her face taking on a seriousness. Forrest, that's one thing I never kid about. With a suddenness almost as abrupt as her stop, the sound of feet moving fast on the track was behind and before us. Amanda's eyes flitted forward and back. Her grip on my hand grew tight, and I gripped hers back. A wiry woman in wood clogs emerged from around a bend in the trail before us, just as the sound of heavy-booted feet came to a stop at our backs. I spun about, Amanda's hand still in mine. The man wore a green jacket. His face was covered in short brown beard. The top of his head was bald. My eyes were drawn to his feet, for the sound of his boots had made an impressive thump, black and heavily lugged like a logger. Amanda? The woman's voice was warm yet carried a scolding tone. You know that you shouldn't bring your friends into the woods. But we were just going for a walk. Amanda's voice was all reason. The man cleared his voice behind us, bass like the thump of his boots. You know the rules. Amanda tisked with annoyance. Yeah, I know. Come on, Forrest. I'm sorry. We'll have to try another day. She glared at the man as she pulled me back the way we'd come. It's really for the best, the woman sighed. I looked over my shoulder at the woman as Amanda pulled me away. She smoothed down her dress, placed her hands in the pockets of her jacket, and gave me a smile, not unlike the mocking smile my aunt so often used. Only this smile seemed to say, you don't know your ass from your elbow, but enjoy every bit of it. Adults. I shook my head. Who are they? I asked, once we were sufficiently away. My jailers, Amanda scoffed. Yeah, but who are they? She sighed. My aunt and uncle. We cleared the woods, my toes tickled again by green grass. You're barefooted. You should have said something before letting me pull you into the woods. I shrugged and smiled. The ground was soft. Nice Converse, though. I nodded to her white sneakers. She kicked her back leg in an imitation of elegance. I'm ready for the ball. She turned and gave the woods a wistful look. Let's go back to my room. This time she took me through the front door instead of dissolving reality around us. I didn't give it much thought at the time. Just let her lead me into the house, the warmth of her hand, a precious connection between us. She took me up the stairs and into the rec room. The padded note bench that spanned the length of the old Victorian window was exactly the same as the one in my grandmother's house. Of course it is. This is her house, after all. However, the weathered old Martin D3 I'd never seen before, however, a weathered old Martin D3 I'd never seen before leaned up against the corner of the window. A Martin, that's cool, I gestured to the instrument. Yeah, it's mine, I love it. Amanda moved enthusiastically to the window seat and picked up the guitar. She held it out to me. Do you play? Sure, what about you? She snorted and frowned at me sideways. Of course, why else would I have a guitar? I guess that was a stupid question. Her eyebrows rose in a silent statement of agreement, but she smiled all the same. Play something, I mimed, fingering the fretboard. Okay, she sat down on the cushioned bench and patted the seat next to her. I sat down. A shy expression came over her face. She strummed the guitar tentatively and I began to regret having asked, not because I was unsure of her. I felt bad for having put her on the spot. She stilled the strings, looked up from the guitar at me, and laughed nervously. Okay. Her spine straightened. She set her fingers on the strings and plucked rhythmically and delicate. Whoa, I gasped. The strings chimed with a beautiful melody I knew well. She was playing my favorite song, Going to California. And despite the fact that we talked about Led Zeppelin already that day, I was still flabbergasted to hear the song I loved so much. Not only did she play, she sang. Her voice was like shafts of light filtered through pine trees and thrummed like the wing of the dragonfly. My heart was in my throat, and though she didn't have flowers in her hair, when she got to that line, her eyes pierced into mine, and for a moment my heart actually stopped. When her voice sang out about the Queen, there was such a tenderness radiating out from her. She looked at me again, a tear rolled down her cheek. The feeling that swept through me was so strong, almost as if something swept out from her into me. My head spun, and I felt myself pitch forward. The room flickered and strobed. Her voice became a fading echo in my mind. I sprang to my feet, but she was gone. And though the window I stood before was the same, with the same cushioned bench upholstered in the same white and blue cloth, though a bit more worn, she was gone. My hand instinctively flew to my breast. Never in my brief 17 years of life had I felt such a sensation of loss. I gasped. And then, like a bolt of lightning, I was down the hall, my hand on the doorframe to her room. It was empty, empty of everything that mattered. I stepped in slowly, lay down on the floor, and cried.
Thank you, guys. Sorry for the flubs.
Thank you, Daniel. That was so vivid and really trippy. Daniel's been telling me about that project for a while, so it was really cool to hear a little bit of it. Paranormal romance is a genre I don't do much, and I really loved hearing that. So thank you, Daniel. You know, you reminded me too that it was only recently that I realized that he's going to California with an aching in his heart. I grew up always thinking it was an acorn. I didn't understand it. It's like, what is this song even talking about? Is he going to California to like plant a tree? But aching makes a lot more sense. I'm glad that I was enlightened on that. That is all of our readers tonight. I am going to finish up with a poem. If you don't mind, Jason, going to the next slide real quick. I wanted to first remind everybody that the 16th collection will be on July 1st. We're going to be welcoming Lizette Austin, who I'm very excited about. Al Roth and Bev Stewart are both here tonight and come regularly. We're looking forward to hearing from them. Hannah Nakasima Mwangi will be reading for a second time. Sam Wong, I'm very excited to hear her poetry. And Jason M. Thornberry will be back with some more prose as well, and video readings from Jalen Renee Fisk, who writes in the horror and mystery genres, and Josh Olson, who's a friend of mine and my wife. Looking forward to seeing what he has to offer as well. So I hope that some or all of you can be there, and we'll look forward to that for sure. I'm going to leave you tonight with a poem called Afterlife. How could it be anybody else's business what we do in the afterlife just for company? It may keep us warm long enough for a lifetime, but oil only burns so long. And by so long, we mean goodbye. We pushed the boundaries sustained through ignorance and turned our backs on each other to hold what little of the construct we can still call our own. Each roaring liner moves us one flying moment closer to the end. We point at the sky and weep as the plane flies above. The future blasts into focus. The backdraft scatters our clarity until all we are certain of is the astounding depth of the ocean. We sit on the asphalt, stuck to it, glued by the tar, unsure of the outcome. Tea leaves reveal only that they lie in piles. Each takeoff spins the clock faster. Hours pass like minutes, and time spills like oil. like jet fuel greases the works. The sixth great extinction changes hands until silhouettes transform into shadows, transform into memories, transform into smoke. When we broke our crystal ball, an airplane rose. We gaze into the curls of our souls like reflections in a pond, so deep the darkness rolls into traffic, into the afterlife. We meet another God, but when we arrive, it is nothing but pins, needles, and eggshell painted walls, non-magical carpets unfurled for prayer, which lie like bodies over a cloudy road leading nowhere. If we had a crystal ball, we would hold it high above our heads and smash it on the tarmac, read the shards like tea leaves through our tears. We would believe, if only fleetingly, the world is worth saving when viewed from an airplane, when viewed from the overcrowded afterlife. Thank you, and thank you so much for being here. And thank you to Nat and Jason and the Hugo House for having us. And we hope to see you here again in July. Have a great night.
You might want get all those ones. But I ended up volunteering. I chose.
I felt like I was right in the road, Mr. Jerry. Keep it up.
And I used to remember, I can't help but yeah, or no, more like where he's at. Weird, you know, why are you going to
Yeah, but so that's why I was like, okay,
like the first time I was like,
yeah, so it's like,
She's out there, the only one dancing. She I always did like this class. And then I wrote the because I'm more so I'm just like searching for I've got, well, this is part of it. There's this and but there's one that but my point is that
so what's your I would love to host you as speaker. Right now I'm
it's long story. It is. I mean, it's not like but it covers like that vibe and I think I told you. And so since she doesn't, it'll be able to pile up. So let's say she does that'll be 1,200. Like and then she's still getting it. So that's all these things.
Does she get like
only a couple months, like from when they received it. Months first they
What about
because he died?
Because I feel like she probably
she should
have been getting it.
She should. I mean, this
it is. Yeah, and I kind of believe
No, I did not. In Denver. I went to CU Denver. Oh, you did? Oh my gosh. Where at?
Oh, I wanted.
Okay. Oh, wow, that's a long drive. Yeah. Good.
Thank you. Sorry, let me interrupt.
I'll see you guys next time. Yeah. Are you writing? Yeah. Okay. Are you writing? Oh, absolutely. I'm
kind of right.
Oh, really?
Thank you.
What's your name? Yeah. I go All right, well, I'll see you guys around. Okay. Thank you.
So long.
Hi.
Yeah, that's your book.
Oh, okay. Yeah, okay. See, I probably tried to pray, but I didn't.
Yeah. rained out. Right?
Aren't you at Central? Is that right? Or Central.
And then we have another two homes, like they're a couple cast. They because I kind of spend a lot of time just, I don't want to close this right now. So we're trying to prioritize. I feel like there's a lot of Oh, yes, yes.
You don't need to sign this. Alright, thank you so much. Alright, yeah, we need to have
Oh, God. Sorry.
So these all know your work.
Just curious, 47. I asked because of that, basically, the kind of frame of reference.
I was 178, I was with that for like
Oh, absolutely. I was
which was great. I feel like that was like the country was functioning, that like economic problems led to national nationalism. It's just zealotry and it's.
Perfect.
Now that I'm sharing some of this with you, you're reading kind of, I'm not. Having yet kind of a little bit of a different experience. It's just bubbling up. I can't. I have a separation between cognition and it's weird. It's new. It's pretty good, but I could be making it. I'm not sure. But the point is,
From the word sunflower and
yeah, I mostly appreciate it because
what that means.
and to look at all this information and how your immediate experience of reflection and ramification all of the stuff that went on to create all more junk.
No, it is true.
And then all the sociological and historical stuff.
That to me, that has a lot of.
You right here, right now. You right here, right now. So it's fascinating that I have a vision of people that.
Oh my God!
All the more. My initial poetry was
It is neat, man. I mean, like, I've seen so many flowers.
like how that started.
Fields and fields of it, you know, we So, and then like afterwards, it drew, you know, I only learned about it.
And then I wrote it down.
Everywhere, everywhere.
And then when I realized I had all this trauma I never processed. Like as a refugee, you're always busy.
But yeah, like don't
Getting stuff done, surviving, I never had time to. And I was like, I'm gonna write about this, and then I'm just doing it. So I had to see if I can get this today. I'm trying to pitch it, but especially if it's been on the next time right now. And also. I think it's.
And I'm like, who cares?
Other ratings, like, that's the whole dedication.
It's their,
Yeah.
it's their.
It's very particular, but it's very simultaneous.
I appreciate why
Yeah.
And my phone.
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate the support. Thank you.
You know Francesca left? But she's gonna walk with us.
In a way, but he fought us.
Take care. Have a good night. I will be back. I had like conference now, so.
But anyway.
I'm gonna be back in a week. So.
Cool.
You guys are having a
They
good night.
And they're.
This is a great night.
Just when you get that reflection.
You too, yeah.
And now I'm listening again. But what a pleasure, yeah, what a pleasure chatting with you. Thank you for your work and
Thanks again. It was great.
and keep it up.
Hey, have a
But
wonderful.
you know what, you don't even have to be encouraged because I know you will, and that's actually inspiring.
Badass. Yeah.
Okay. Just kind of narrow, whittle it down to that.
Oh, okay, where's your solo bar? Okay, okay.
I know.
Every
She said they can't focus on my.
Okay. What's it?
Speak out.
Speak out,
Because the owner was basically he passed on his kids this. He was he's from Bulgaria. He's a big guitar player for culture shock, Gypsy Punk.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, so wow, yeah. So that's
That's true.
What's it open like?
It's a curate. We have three informers and then just like read that out.
Okay. Okay, okay. Okay, let's see.
Check that out.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you can.
The last day of school. Yeah. So in July it's gonna be open my home. No curated. So it's like 2.5 hours long. Yeah. Nice.
Poetry, you just show up and sign
It's
up.
poetry. We also do music and comedy. Because of like poetry is so depressing. We do prose as well, but poetry is so depressing and we need to like break it up with music. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
It is nowadays it is it's
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, hope to see you there. Yeah, I'm looking forward to hearing what you. It's okay. I have a feeling.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah. No, we are, yeah. I like it too, I'm sure.
Well, I have copies to say.
Yeah. You met at Ariel's birthday.
That's correct.
Yeah.
I know.
I like the.
Yeah, I want to because
You have to remind me of your name.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So,
Doug,
right.
Cool.
Yeah.
And I know I'm from,
yeah, and I got the.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
You'll see. You, I remember.
Yeah,
You had to go to a different work.
I went to a kid's.
Yeah.
I know, but yeah.
Yeah, because we were having a conversation. I was enjoying it.
We try to mix it up, and it just kind of lands out.
Yeah.
How rare is that? 50-year-old and 5-year-old.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, that's pretty auspicious.
Well, I'm a lucky guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's too bad it's good.
And I'm not supposed to.
I'll see him coming up with these. We're planning.
Let's get up
there.
Yeah.
So he's so close now.
You look lucky.
I think we're actually have a good one. Gentlemen.
All right. Yeah, nice meeting you too. Have a good night.
You too.
Yeah.
Good night, Dario.
Be up to do it right down here.
I do. Yeah.
Are those yours? Oh, nice.
Nice.
Yeah.